and many restaurants as a general manager, such as California Pizza Kitchen, Cheesecake Factory, J. Alexander's. So I have a definite business background. After you run restaurants, you can basically do anything at a high level like that. So went after my passion, which is real estate, and fortunately have been very successful in this market. Started in 2006. We're selling about 100 homes a year. So basically, we do invest properties ourselves. We have been investors. This is my husband, Mark. Okay, he's the brains of the operation, but I'm the outspoken one of the operation. Very different between our personalities. I do have a team. Okay, so basically, what I love to do is what I'm doing, which is short sales. I do REOs as well, but Mark really runs that department now. It's not huge for us like it used to be. It used to be a lot bigger. Short sales, I've always done, and I've always enjoyed them, and I've always been very successful at short sales. At a 95% success rate in short sales, where average realtor is about 15 to 20%. But I think because of my passion in short sales, it's definitely a reason why I'm so successful at it. I'm also a real estate coach, and I coach about 15 people across the country how to be very successful in real estate. They pay a lot of money to Craig Proctor for this coaching, so it's also helped us, pick up to the next level in our real estate business. Also tonight we are going to be talking about 1031 exchanges in real estate and self-directed IRAs. So you've got a nice full pack here. And I'm just going to talk a little bit, because before, when I first started, the market is changing, as most of you know, probably. The market is changing very fast right now. 6 months ago was a lot different than it was a year ago, and we're still seeing it change. We have about half the inventory on the market. Some of the investors are actually getting out of the market, and some are now that never would touch short sales want to learn more about the short sales, because if they're going to invest in real estate, they're having to buy short sales. We're seeing that properties, even our short sale properties, we're seeing multiple offers on them. We have up to 10 to 15 offers on a property a lot of the time. So, I mean, it's a fast market, definitely. I am a listing agent, so I really enjoy listing short sales. I usually try to keep, my goal is to have 50 listings at all times, which I'm not at right now, but that's minimum that I'd like to have. So that's what we're shooting for. But as fast as they're going off the market, it's hard to keep that many on the market. Okay? So anyways, I'm going to talk a little bit about investing in short sales and how to do it. A few questions for you. How many of you ever bought real estate investment properties? That's actually how I met. Oh, good. Just about all of you. How many of you have bought an investment property this year? That's actually how I met Jillian. You bought our property. How many of you bought a short sale as an investment property? Okay, just a couple of you. So this is actually stuff that you definitely want to learn about. How many of you would consider buying a short sale? Okay, everybody. That's awesome. Banks are doing more short sales and less REOs. They definitely see that they can actually, not going through. Banks don't want to own these properties. Okay, they aren't in the business to own properties. They'd much rather have real estates go out there and go ahead and do a short sale. So they're actually making it easier for us to do short sales. If you're willing to wait and work with the right real estate agents, the short sale experience can be a win-win. Short sales are a technique and a process that take experience. No two short sales I've done hundreds of short sales, and no two short sales I've ever done have ever been alike, ever. Banks require all short sales to be listed by a real estate agent now. Okay, they want it to be listed. They want to pay our commission. They want to do all that because they feel that they can get the most for their money. I mean, the most money for the property by listing it as opposed to just going directly to them. Once the contract is signed by both the investor and the seller, it's submitted to the bank, and we do require an escrow deposit. When we do a short sale, there's certain things that I require, and that's why they're successful. Number one, I require you to be in the short sale for 90 days minimum. Most investors don't care. If they get it for the price they want, they don't care how long they're in the contract. We do require $5,000 into escrow ourselves. And with, what was I going to say? And sometimes and also we do require, if it's in poor condition, which is what a lot of investors want, that you do a inspection up front. Because what is that going to do? I'm going to submit that inspection with the offer, and it's definitely the way that you can get it below market value. The banks, when I first started doing short sales 5 years ago, the banks were looking, 20% below market value. Today, because of the way the market is, they're looking 90 to 100% of market value, depending on the condition. The condition is where it's at. So they really want what, because they're getting it, that's the problem. I mean, they're getting what market value is for short sales, so they're looking for it. Not every single bank, not every single investor, okay, is looking for that, not every single servicing company, but a lot of them. If it is in poor condition, or it needs a new roof, or there's water damage or mold, there's quite a bit of mold, they're definitely going to look at that differently. That's why we require an inspection up front, so I can turn it in and say, look, I need a new roof. This is going to cost me 40 grand. They do look at that. For example, I'm getting ready to close on a property finally after a few buyers. It has, it needs a new roof, and it has a little bit of mold. Most investors don't care about that, right? But it's selling for about $100,000 under market value, okay, because of the few things. Is that going to be every time? No, but you're definitely going to be able to bring it down. I'm buying my own personal investment property that needed a couple little things, and I got it to come down like 20 grand. So, I mean, those are the properties that a lot of the investors are looking for, the ones that need improvement. We market to people like that. We market to people that have missed mortgage payments and everything else at a high level. We just started pumping it up at a higher level. Okay, so we're marketing to notice the defaults in people, and we're finding that a lot of these people are having problems with their homes. I actually did an investment, or I did a seminar this morning. Why I did this back to back, I have no idea, because I spoke for a couple hours. A couple people were at it this morning that are here right now. But I talked to real estate agents on how to do this, and with that, because you're going to see a lot more FHA and VA short HUD homes. Okay, you're going to see a lot more of those. And they want what they want as far as the price comes, so the only way you're going to get that is when it's first listed, is by doing an inspection, at the very beginning, before it even goes on to the market. What we are seeing, though, is we are not seeing that you can flip nearly as many properties, but we are seeing high cap rates still on certain properties, so you still can get, definitely over 10%. 10, 12, 14, 16, I mean, I'm getting 25, I'm getting 14, 15, it is out there. Okay, but the flipping is definitely more challenging than it was a year ago. And I think anybody who's investing in real estate sees that today, right? How many properties were you buying a year ago? 200? Yeah. And what are you buying today? A third. Yeah, and you're finding that it's extremely challenging, right?
Yeah, I have to go to more counties now.
You're going to more counties, and what else? You're opening up to buying short sales, and before it was more auctions.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're opening up to different things. Basically, the things that you have to do as an investor and looking is really working, like I said, with the right agent is huge. And I'm not even saying me, whoever that agent is, okay? Because there's so much going on. Homeowners associations, usually when they stop paying their mortgage, they stop paying the homeowners association. The attorneys are doubling. So if it's 5 grand, the attorneys are putting 5 grand, now we're 10 grand behind. Guess who's gonna have to pay for that? Because the banks are only gonna pay a year. It's gonna be you as the buyer. You need to know those type of things before you get into going under contract in a short sale. You need to ask the right questions. The bank is not, the HOAs are not negotiating very nicely, okay? We usually try to go to the management companies and actually talk to them and try to work with them and say, your attorney's not doing you any justice by not working with us. We do try to get them to deduct some of the HOA amount, but the attorneys are staying strong, and these HOAs are actually listening to the attorneys, unfortunately, which is not in the best interest of the HOAs. So we have to sit there, and there's a lot of negotiations there. On average, it takes about 90 days to complete a short sale. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, and sometimes it's a little bit less. If you have a portfolio loan, okay, Bank of America services 25% of all loans out there. They own 10%. So 10% are portfolio by Bank of America. The other 90% are owned by 10,000 investors, okay? Wells Fargo owns 20% of their loans, and 20% of portfolio loans, and same with Chase. And those two combined, Chase and Wells Fargo, are another 50%, another 25% of them are the servicer. So between those three banks, Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo, they service 50% of all the loans out there. So are they getting better? Yeah, they are. And if it's portfolio, it goes by very quickly. But if it's not, it doesn't. People can sit in their homes today, we're seeing some easily 4 and 5 years. Especially if they claim bankruptcies and things like that. You need to know that kind of stuff. Because are they just putting it on the market in a short sale just so they can sit in their homes longer? Possibly. We don't deal with any of those kind of people. That's definitely not the people I work with. I work with people that are motivated to sell their homes. I work with people that want to get out and underneath and move on with their lives. But a lot of people don't. So you have to be careful when you're buying short sales that the other agent knows what's going on. And a lot of the time, they're just going to put it on the market and have no idea really the intentions of the seller. Me, I go through a full consultation. It's a 45-minute consultation, and I make sure that they are ready to go. Like I was talking about the inspections, make sure that we're doing that. The bank will usually pay 1 year of the HOA fees. That's it. Okay, they're very strict on that. They used to pay more. MI companies have to agree on the short sales. That's another big question today. A couple years ago, the MI companies would just go with the flow of the short sale. Today, they absolutely, every single time except for one time in the last year, anybody who's had an MI company, they expect the seller to bring anywhere from a couple grand to 10 grand, 15 grand. So I personally let the seller know that up front. Most sellers don't want to do that, so they'll just let it go. So, and most agents don't ask them that question. So, okay, so it's huge. MI companies, mortgage insurance companies, want money from the seller. They are the #1 control over if a short sale goes or not now. So we have to, the two things that you really have to worry about are the HOAs and the MI companies. Okay, those are the two big things in a short sale. Every time you go back to negotiate with the bank, I'm going to tell you, the investors can be Freddie, Fannie. It can be one, like our first, let's say all 3 of us went in, and we're the first investors, and you 2 are the second, right? And then now you have an MI company. So now every time you do anything, it's having to go through, all 3 of us have to agree on it, you 2 have to agree on it, the MI company, the buyer, the seller, attorneys if they're involved. That's why it takes a long time. And that's why every time you go back to try to do any type of negotiation at all, it's going through all of those people. Okay, so obviously the best thing to do is if they have a first or just a first and a second, those are, or if the first and the second are with the same servicing company, those are the best every time. Because what we can do, if Wells Fargo, for example, has the first and the second, we'll actually only have to work with one negotiator that's going to work with both the first and the second. Okay, that's huge. The investor basically, the reason why it takes a long time too is if the seller's not cooperative and the bank is asking for information and they don't get it to them in time, it takes them 10 days. Every single time they ask them for a new piece of paper, it takes them 10 days because they're prolonging. That's the reason why they're taking 90 days, 120 days. Okay? In a short sale process, like I was saying, you could have the first, the banks do not allow electronic signatures. Don't even go there with electronic signatures. The only one that's going to electronic signatures is going to be a traditional sale. REOs, they don't want the electronic signatures for the most part either.
Does that rule out fax?
No. Just the a lot of people do the electronic signatures, and they don't want to see that. They need proof of funds. And a lot of the time they want proof of funds to match. So if it's coming from a corporation, they want the proof of funds from the corporation. If you're getting hard money, as we talked about earlier, then just do it as a loan and get a pre-approval. Okay, because in a short sale, they don't care if it's cash. In an REO, obviously cash is king. In a short sale, absolutely it's not. They could care less. They never, ever, ever look at, because who's the one making the decision to who to submit it to the bank? The seller. And the seller is not the bank. Okay, the seller is not the servicing company. The seller is actually the person who owns the property still. They're the ones that make the decision on who's gets submitted to the lender. Okay? I look at all the terms and conditions. When I am recommending to a seller possibly which offer to take, okay, and the seller again is not the bank, I'm looking at everything. I'm talking to the agent. I'm making sure the agent knows what's going on. I'm making sure it doesn't have to, if I see that's a hard money loan, but it's a lender that's doing it, to me, that's cash, okay? If it's a lender, we're talking, Mark's talking to him. He's calling them up and he's making sure that they are very solid buyers. So in a short sale, it's completely different because the seller is the one who's making the decision, not the bank. Okay, so don't even worry about it. If it's a hard money, just get a pre-approval if you want. That's fine. And then let the realtor know, because if they're a realtor that knows enough about short sales like I do, they're going to know hard money is just as good as cash. But the bank's going to want to see that the money, that the proof of funds come from the person, that not from the hard money person, and then go into a corporate name. You follow me? Okay. The bank will require updated proof of funds. They don't want them to be, basically, proof of funds need to be within 90 days. They might ask you again, okay, for proof of funds update all the time. You may have to turn on the electric and the water to do an inspection. If you want to do an inspection, we require that. If our buyer, or if our sellers are not living in the property and they don't have money, whoever the buyer is, we require them to turn it on, which they will turn it on. It's like 35 bucks for the electric for a day, and like the same for the water for a day. The reasoning why is because let's say their water bill is behind, okay, let's say a year, they won't turn it on for them. They won't turn it on for them because they owe that money. You know, electric follows the person who turns on the electric, but the water follows the property, the owner, right? So, and they don't turn it off. If you stop paying your water bill this month, they'll let it go for a year without turning it off. So they're going to charge you because they know that before they can sell the property, they have to catch up on the water bill. Okay? Some cities, West Palm Beach, charges 60 bucks a month to have your water turned off. And so it doesn't matter if you have no, if the water's not turned off, it's $60 a month. Yeah, trust me. So water in West Palm is 60 bucks, so you add on another 50 a month, it's 110 bucks for just water. Okay? You know, when we rent our properties, if we're paying the water, it's fine. But if they pay the water, I get an extra month rent because if they don't pay it by the end of the year because they can run it for the year, it's coming right out of that money. I'm not going to get stuck with a $1,200 water bill or $1,500 water bill. So you got to watch yourself. Half a short sales are great, except for they do take longer. A half a short sale is a government short sale. Basically, they are releasing the seller of the deficiency judgment completely. It is great for the seller. They also give them a little bit of money to move. However, it does take a little bit longer because basically, if you're doing a short sale, the seller still has to be the one to sign off on that short sale after it comes back from the bank. If they're asking them for money or if they haven't released them the deficiency judgment, the seller very well could say, you know what, I'm off. You're done, buyer. I don't have to go through with this because they don't have to go through with the short sale. If they do not agree to the terms and conditions of the short sale, they do not have to go through with the short sale. So again, it's knowing all of these things. You will start to see more FHA short sales, which I talked a lot about this morning. The FHA short sale, basically, FHA and VA, they're coming because when were the loans? 2006, 2007, so we're really starting to see them, and we're going to start to see a lot more of them. They are going to have set prices that you have to pay at certain amounts. So for example, the first month, the net has to be at 86%, the second month it has to be at 84%, the third month it has to be at 82% of the market value. Okay, and so they dictate to you what it has to be. But one of the good things are they do get released again in the deficiency judgment, so those are going to be more successful at closing. The Mortgage Debt Relief Act, does everybody know what that is? It's basically ending at the end of 2012 as of right now. And what it does is it releases the homeowner, if it's their homestead property, it releases them of their homeowners have to worry, when you're doing a short sale, you have to worry about two things. Number one, you have to worry about the lender. Number two, you have to worry about the IRS. Okay, because the IRS will come back to you, or does actually come back to you as well. Right now, through the end of 2012, the IRS will allow them to release them of the amount that they have to pay for the IRS. So, for example, if I have a loan for $200,000 And with everything, my net is $100,000. At $100,000, I would have to pay at my tax bracket. So if I'm at 30%, I would have to pay $30,000 on that 100. If this is your primary property or homesteaded property, the IRS is saying from 2007 until the end of this year, they're saying, okay, we're letting you get away and not have to pay that. So that's huge. Up to $2 million is basically what they're looking at. We're marketing, like I said, to people who are behind. We're sending them VIP investor lists. We're doing all sorts of stuff. We're having a very success rate at marketing notice of defaults. And we really just started picking it up in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and we're getting a very good response. If you come across anything that you see, I mean, they want a realtor, I'd be happy to get it through, okay, and do everything that I can. Because if you see properties, because some investors are actually sending notes to homeowners as well, and they want them to do a short sale, and then they want them to list it. You want to list it with an agent because it wants to be. You want to list it with an agent, obviously, that can get it closed for you. In conclusion, with the short sales can also be great investment properties. That's all I buy is short sales and investment properties. If you're working with the right person to get them done. We have buyer specialists, and we can help you purchase investment properties and then schedule a consultation with you. Okay? Thank you.